What's up, guys? Welcome back. Southern fried cabbage is one of the most popular recipes I've done on this channel, and for good reason. It's perfect for meal prep, a quick weeknight meal, or for the holidays. Today I'm going to show you how to turn it into a whole meal by adding shrimp and andouille sausage. Meet me in the kitchen. Let's make it happen.
Flavor Town.
Won't you take me to
Flavor Town.
That's so flavorful.
All right, guys, first things first, we're gonna go ahead and make sure we prep our veggies. Today we're using onion and red and green bell pepper. Feel free to use whatever color bell pepper you like. You can also throw in some other veggies here if you want to. This is a good recipe to kind of clean out the fridge and, you know, get rid of anything that might be about to go bad, make a quick meal out of it. So we're using shrimp today. We got andouille sausage. You could throw some chicken thighs in this. Serve it with salmon. Really can do it whatever you want. A great meal prep option. One of my go-to options when it comes to meal prep and I need a good side dish. But today, we're elevating this side dish and making it a whole meal. You can serve it over rice. You can serve it with cauliflower rice for my keto folks. A million different ways to kind of spin this and make it your own. But first and foremost, we're going to go ahead and give a rough chop to these bell peppers. I don't really want to dice them up. I want them to be, you know, still able to fit on the fork with the cabbage. So just a rough chop. We'll do the same thing with the red bell pepper and the same thing with the onion. And then we'll prep our cabbage. Make sure you clean the cabbage when you get it from the store. A lot of times it's pretty dirty. So you want to give it a nice clean rinse. You know, wipe it down. Make sure that it's clean before you cook it. Next up, my friends, it's time to prep the cabbage. Here we have a huge head of cabbage. You don't really find them this big that often these days. But perfect size for what we're doing today. Trying to feed a crowd. We're going to go ahead and chop it up and then clean it. So we're going to use a nice sharp knife like one I have here. You can find that on my website, along with all the recipes that you see on this channel at mrmakeithappen.com. We're going to go ahead and cut it in quarters, basically. And then I'm going to remove the core. The core, you know, you can cook it and eat it if you want to. In my opinion, it just doesn't get as tender as the rest of the cabbage. So I like to remove it. And one of the ways that I've gotten used to doing it is just holding it like this and cutting the core right out. Now, when it comes to cabbage, it's kind of like collard greens. You can cut them however you want to. I'm going to go ahead and just slice them like you see right here. Give them a rough chop. I want them to be about the same size. That way they all cook at the same rate and get nice and tender. You don't want bites of cabbage that are undercooked and then other bites that are overcooked. So the more consistent you chop the cabbage, the more consistent it's going to cook. As I chop the cabbage, I'm going to go ahead and put it in this strainer. That way we can get it nice and clean. I'm going to rinse it off thoroughly. Get in there with your hands and kind of give it a nice rub down. Make sure you get any dirt or particulates off of the cabbage. Next up, my friends, it's time to prep the andouille sausage. You can use whatever kind of sausage you want, kielbasa, smoked sausage, turkey, beef, whatever, you know, choice that you like or prefer based on your, you know, particular diet preferences. But I'm using pork andouille sausage. They make chicken and beef as well. We're going to go ahead and give this a rough chop as well. I don't really want to cut it into circles. I'm going to cut it into like half moons, I would say. Fits on the fork a little bit better. Makes for a more even bite. I like to get the party started by cooking the sausage. That way we have time to render a little bit of that fat. That fat is going to be flavor for the remainder of our dish. We got about a tablespoon or two of avocado oil in the pan. We're going to go ahead and add in that andouille sausage. Medium heat. You don't want it to be too hot. You want to get it nice and golden brown and crispy, but you also want to give it a little bit of time for that fat to render like we talked about. So just spread it out evenly and let the heat do its job. All right, guys, once the sausage is nice and brown, cooked, the fat has rendered, we're going to go ahead and grab a slotted spoon and remove it, leaving behind all that flavor in the pan or Dutch oven or whatever you're using. You want to use something that's, you know, large enough to fit all of this cabbage. We're going to go ahead and remove this, and into that fat we're going to cook our shrimp. I've killed the heat because I don't want to burn the shrimp. I want to gently sear the shrimp. So we're going to allow this to cool a second. If there wasn't so much rendered fat in here, I would add a little bit of butter, but there's enough fat from the andouille sausage that we're not going to add any additional butter or fat. If you don't have that much, you can add some butter or some avocado oil. In goes the shrimp that we season with my brand new Cajun season. If you haven't tried that yet, you can get that via my website, which is also where all of my recipes are, mrmakeithappen.com. But in goes the shrimp. Get a little color to develop on them. Then we'll remove them and then add them back to the cabbage towards the end. All right, guys, we got the peppers and the onions in the pan, getting a head start, softening up, absorbing all that flavor from the sausage and the shrimp. Now we're gonna go ahead and add in a tablespoon or two of garlic paste. Fresh garlic works well here as well. Going in with a little smoked paprika, some chicken bouillon powder, my AP seasoning, and again, hitting it with that Cajun seasoning that just hit the market. If you're into Cajun flavors, it doesn't get a whole lot better than this, guys. Definitely give it a try. AP to cover all the bases. Give that a mix, and then we're going in with the cabbage. Now, cabbage is like 80–90% water. So it's going to expel a lot of that water during the cooking process. And that's going to help get up all this flavor off the bottom of the skillet. The water will eventually evaporate, so you don't have to worry about it being, you know, soggy or anything like that. But don't be alarmed when you see there's a lot of liquid in the pan. It also cooks down, obviously, because it's mostly water, so it's going to look like a whole lot of cabbage. But once it cooks down, it'll fit in the pan nicely. You want to go ahead and probably cover it with the lid too to allow it to steam. That'll speed up that process quite a bit. That way you can fit all the cabbage in here. All right, guys, so covering it with the lid allows it to steam. That's going to release some of that water we talked about. It's also going to help the cabbage get nice and tender. After about 10 minutes of that, you want to remove the lid and increase the heat. That way we can cook off that water and allow it to evaporate. So as you can see down here in the bottom, there's no more moisture, or not as much as there was. It'll continue to evaporate. Once you've gotten rid of most of that, it's time to go ahead and add back in the shrimp and the sausage. You don't want to do it when there's a lot of moisture in the skillet because you don't want the protein to get soggy. So now is a good time to go ahead and add that in, fold it in, taste for seasoning, taste as you go, adjust the flavor to your preference as always. Another quick reminder, guys, all of these specific measurements and ingredients for these recipes are listed at mrmakeithappen.com. We're gonna go ahead and give it a taste test. Then we're gonna go ahead and plate this up because it's just about done. All right, guys, once the flavor is spot on and the cabbage is nice and tender, we're gonna go ahead and plate this up. This is the part where I say brace yourself for a trademark money shot. Say it with me, guys, looking good. The only thing left to do is dig in for the taste test, but before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications as well. All right, people, I found my fork. It's time to dig in. We got a beautiful shrimp right on top. We got that andouille sausage. Oh man, there it is. Looks a little hot, but what the hell.